Hey guys, Josh here. I've jumped back into Diablo 4 for Season 4 after the disappointment that was Season 3. And this is my honest review of Season 4 in particular, and a lot of people have asked me, is it any good? Now, there's been a lot of changes in Diablo Season 4, and a lot of good changes overall. Well, let's just dive in with all the changes overall. Season 4 changes, especially for Helltides. So Helltides are now basically the main event for the season, in combination with the Iron Wolves in Chaldean. The reputation vendor, as per the Vampire Season 2, is now tied to the Iron Wolves, and you grind rep with them, and they basically give you items every level. Helltides have been redesigned, so you have a threat meter instead. It's in the top right, and there are 3 gaps in the threat. So you get the first threat, where you get a bunch of mobs attacking you, second threat, more mobs, and then the third set, you get a champion attacking you basically as well, which is max threat. Cinders drop crazy, okay? Like, I got like, I think 1,000 cinders in a run one time, and also as well, the legendary chests are locked already, so you can see them on the map, so you can just basically ride to them and unlock them. Helltides now exist in Tier 1 and Tier 2, so basically you can just jump in and kill demons. Also, all Helltides have Whisper quests, so they have 2 Whisper quests. It can be sometimes kill demons, kill Fallen, sometimes it can even be just disrupt rituals, like there's Doomsayers, those Doomsayers in towns, and now in the Helltides you can talk to them. You can also disrupt cultist rituals as well. Now also there's a summonable boss as well, which is part of a daily called the Blood Maiden. They have different names, and it's actually quite a difficult mechanical boss fight. After you kill her, you get some world boss reagents as well as some legendaries in particular. She's quite a hard boss to kill, and you need 3 Baneful Hearts to summon her. Helltide Champions now drop a Profane Mind Cage. It's an elixir thing that lasts for 60 minutes, and that increases all the mobs in the Helltides levels by 10 for a big experience boost. Also, to mention as well, Helltides drop Forgotten Souls and stuff like that. Used to be the only area that used to drop that. Now, these can drop in other open world content and Nightmare dungeons. With item fixes, the item system has been heavily overhauled. No more upgrades and no more certain fixes, that you're trying to grind for, such as damage reduction. So basically, damage reduction has been completely removed as an item affix on legendaries. Now, however, with these changes, the item affixes have been reduced. So blue items only have 1 affix, rare items only have 2 affixes, and legendary items only have 3 affixes. However, there's a new system called tempering, where you can add 1 affix if it's a normal or sacred item, or 2 affixes if it's an ancestral item at the blacksmith. So the blacksmith's now different. The blacksmith is basically a temper vendor rather than an upgrade vendor. These affixes can be selected based on the temper manuals that you've gathered. These drop in Helltides and other content in particular, so you can always grab them and learn them. They're simply a piece of paper in your inventory, you right click and you learn it immediately. Pretty much while you're leveling up, especially if you're leveling up via Helltides, you are going to get a lot of these, and they have a system as well. They have a blue system, so you can upgrade it at blue, then you can upgrade it to magic, and you can upgrade it at legendary. So if you get a blue manual for temper, you learn the blue version of it. If you get a yellow version of the temper manual, which is rare, you learn that. And they all end at legendary, basically. And also, there are temper manuals specifically for general, just to increase damage, and there's some for your class as well. So druids have, for druid motion, they have increased movement speed, tramples lesser cooldown, and digitate great, which is their werewolf speed ability. And yeah, pretty much temper manuals go into your loot drops. You can just right click to use them right away. The next change is that the temper manuals are fairly common, and it's most likely that you have all of them at legendary before level 80. I had mine at about level 75, 70. There's also a new chance for an item to have a greater affix. I called them stars, and they only drop in tier 3 and tier 4. I call them star items, people may have called them differently, but they increase a single affix per star by 1.5 times, so you can have extra resource generation, extra willpower, extra attack speed, etc. So basically you can get a affix with 3 stars on it, basically as a legendary. You cannot re-roll this stat, otherwise it just becomes a normal affix. Okay, I tried. Okay, I got a star item on life regen, which is pretty terrible, and it re-rolled to a normal life regen stat, which doesn't really help. There's also no more upgrade levels. You don't have to upgrade your items to rank 5. Items have been changed, so they are considered to be max rank items. This has been replaced by masterworking, which you can grind ingredients in the pit. The pit starts at level 80. We'll talk about the pit later. So basically what masterworking is that essentially it buffs all your affixes on the item by 5% until level 4. Once you hit level 4, you only get to boost 1 affix by 25%, which is a completely random affix. And then you go to a new ore to upgrade to level 8, then you go to a new ore to upgrade to level 12. That'll be discussed later. Item affixes, as I said before, have been buffed to match a fully upgraded item from world tier 1 to 3. due to the no upgrade system. Also, you can still reroll one affix from the occultist, just an FYI. Codex changes. You can now gain legendary powers from salvaging items. You don't need to disenchant them anymore. Salvaging the items immediately puts them into your codex. You can also now upgrade the base codex legendaries by salvaging items. So if you've got a shockwave that's at rank 1 and you got a max shockwave, you can upgrade that shockwave to the max version of it in the codex. Now also as well, if you get a max codex item and you salvage it, it'll be in a gold border in the codex to show you that's been maximized. The SM items that you used to apply have been completely deleted. They no longer exist. It's all in the codex now. Compared to previous seasons, this is a big upgrade considering you have to usually have your bags full of like shitty legendary items to put on your items just in case you got an upgrade. And yeah, that's pretty much it with the codex changes. Next up is the gem changes. So the gem changes have got rid of the crude rank and pretty much they've changed the levels as well. So you get chipped all the way up to level 51. Then you can get a normal gem. You get flawless gems up. You get flawless gems at 71. You also get royal gems at 91. Diamonds have had all of their resistant values increased significantly, so you can actually get capped resistances via paragons and just having diamonds in your gear. Also, when socketed armor, topaz, sapphires, amethysts, and emeralds will now increase intelligence, willpower, strength, and dexterity respectively instead of their previous resistances. So this is another change you have to highlight as well. Last but not least, there's new content, the pit. It has basically 200 tiers, and it drops materials associated with masterworking and tormented bosses. Tormented bosses are new content where you face level 200 world bosses basically. You can enter these solo or as a group of 4. However, the person leading the group of 4 will get the most rewards. There are 3 types of ore associated with this pit. This is all associated with masterworking. So Obdicite gets rank 1 to 4 of masterworking, Ignolith for rank 5 to 8, and Nephine for rank 9 to 12. You can trade back these upgraded materials to the previous materials through the Alchemist vendor. As I said before, the pit has 200 tiers. You can get Obdicite from the first 30, you get Enolith from the next 30, and you get Nephine from the tier 60 or above. Stygian stones also drop, which allow you to summon the tormented version of well bosses such as Zia, Duriel, Grigor, and Dariel, etc. You need 2 Stygian stones to summon one of these, in addition to the normal reagents. And Dariel is also a new summonable boss as well at Hangman's Hall, which is just east of the Tazrak waypoint. It's quite easy and has a few mechanics that you have to just abide by. The last question is, how is it? Well, first of all, the codex changes are the best changes yet. No more grinding nightmare dungeons or just hell tides, hoping you get the top end legendary thing to put on your best in slot item. There have been a lot of builds that are make and break depending on whether you have the top end codex. Man, I used to remember as a druid playing Tornado, having so many tornadoes, okay, where tornadoes focus on 3 targets in my inventory because the base one only gave 1. So it was very, very frustrating that you had to have all of these in there. Now with this changes, you don't. Helltides changes are probably the second best, where you can just endless farm the boss, get a lot of cinders. Baneful Arts are very easy to drop as well, and it's just super easy to do this content. It just reminds me of Season 2 all over again. Having Forgotten Souls and well summoning boss reagents drop in Helltides means you can just level however you want and go do whatever. And you still have access to all the other content. Previously, like if you did a Nightmare Dungeon, you couldn't get the Forgotten Souls. So if you wanted to upgrade your items using the upgrading system, you had to actually go to Helltides. And if you want to get your glyphs leveled up, you had to go to Nightmare Dungeons, but you would lose anything you get in the Helltides. It was very frustrating and a very annoying system overall. And finally, they brought the two together. I think one problem with a lot of games in particular is that they have a lot of great systems, but they don't merge or melt into each other. Diablo 4 had this problem immensely because there's a lot of different systems, but they didn't actually work off each other very well. These season's blessings as well, it actually helps Nightmare Dungeons quite a bit. There's a perk that gives increased the glyph points you receive from completing a Nightmare Dungeon. This makes grinding glyphs to level 15 super easy compared to previous seasons, because previous seasons, like, you do a Nightmare Dungeon and you only get 1/3 of a level. And it was so painful, but this blessing makes it so much easier, as well as a nerf on the points that you need. And mate, like, I only had to do a couple of high-end Nightmare Dungeons, and I had a lot of my glyphs that I needed at level 15. It was incredible. It wasn't a chore anymore. Also, tempering is really, really good because it allows you to at least customize your item to a point. You don't have to grind for the best piece of gear anyway. Also, removing the damage reduction stat is so good because, oh my god, a lot of builds' best damage reduction stat was just close damage to close enemies, damage to distant enemies, damage reduction in general, damage when fortified, damage when poisoned. It was just such a boring chore trying to get all 4 of those goddamn traits on a single item. And the fact that tempering now gives you the ability to build an item and also to get rid of the damage reduction stat, it just makes everything go so well. Also, another change I forgot to mention that the damage reduction stats on other abilities have been increased to compensate for the nerf of having no damage reductions unless they're on a unique. Also, I've got to mention as well, you can actually craft uniques if you get really, really deep into the pit. Last but not least is just amazing, as I've said before. It just makes this game so much fun, so easy. You can just go from content to content to content so easily. There's no issues at all. Your character is just always progressing regardless of what content you do. Despite the lack of story content, I've seen the Iron Wolves have no real story to it. It's just another short change, probably less story than the third and second seasons. The quality of life changes, the introduction of the pit and Dario just basically replaces it. You're just going to have so much fun. It's going to be a completely new game to you as well. So if you hated the previous seasons and just stopped halfway through, you'll find this version to be a complete breath of fresh air, and you can just jump into killing demons immediately. And I highly recommend that you just play the season overall to see a new version of basically Diablo 4. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and this is my review of Diablo 4.